Dear Shrestha viewers, welcome. In yesterday's class, we were discussing about lease financing, its definition, elements and its types. And I told you that I will be explaining its pros and cons in the next class. Yes? Are you clear with yesterday's topic? I had a question from Bhagat Teresa, one of the viewer of Shrestha Gnanadayini. Their question was, if a person is willing to pay the complete amount once as a lease for a particular product, was that the question? Like if you have some 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs and that lease, the contract which you are going to take, that contract which you are going to take for 5 years or 6 years, whatever the contract may be, if you are taking it and you are able to pay the complete that 10 years amount at now itself, thinking that in future date you might not pay, then it is not possible. Because if you can pay completely once itself, then it is not to be called as lease. It is not called as lease, but it is just you are directly purchasing that product. So the term lease is like, even if you are ready to pay the complete amount, you can keep it at your place, you can save that amount and pay it periodically, but not everything at once. Are you clear with that? I hope it is clear, and if even you have a little doubt, by getting to know about these pros and cons, you will finally have a particular idea about what is lease, and automatically the question in your mind will get cleared. And thank you that you raised a question today. We expect the same from all the viewers. We welcome all your questions to help you in this subject. Okay, why late? Let's go into the pros and cons of lease financing. But before we go into this, like we kept coming from other sessions, like we repeat the definition first. What is it given by? The definition is given by James C. Van Horn. According to him, lease is a contract that is granted by the lessor, owner of an asset. He grants the asset to another party called lessee for an agreed period of time to use that product and for a payment of rent. I explained you, it has a definition, you repeat it again. I think you made a note of it. If not, go back to my video, you can take it down. Now let's move into pros and cons. What are its pros? Same thing, what I say is a coin has both the sides, heads and tails. In the same way, we have advantages and disadvantages for even this topic also. Allows alternative use of funds. Now, if we are going to see this pros and cons, we should see in a business point of view. Like that leasing company is our opposite party and we are the business, we are going to approach them. So whatever you take here consideration, whatever I explain you should see in the lessee's point of view, but not in the lessor's point of view. Okay, did you get that? So now we are the company, allows alternative use of funds. See, if they are getting a capital equipment on a lease, then they will have the chance to use and control that product and to give it off them in the future date to make some payment. But if you have to buy that product, you have to make a huge investment. So instead of making that huge investment, when you are getting that product at a cheaper rate and alternatively you are getting it as a lease, then you will not have any ownership, but you can use that product at a less and cheaper cost. Yes or no? In the business point of view, what we think is we should get the profits and reduce the expenses, right? And you may not have that use of that asset after few days. So what will you do? Until you have for 2 years or 3 years or for 10 years, you use that asset. If even you buy that asset, that cost will be much. Once you buy that asset, you can't say that that will be your asset, it's fine, but you might not use it again and again, right? But if it is in the lease, then you can give back to him, and that, what I say, is the amount which you are going to get in without making a huge investment. You are getting the same product at the cheaper rate. Did you understand? That is called allows alternative use of funds. So instead of investing or making a huge investment on a particular product, if you are getting it on the lease, then it will be much more benefit to you. Then faster and cheaper credit. Now, as I said we should understand these points in lessee's point of view. As we are the lessees, based on our tax structure, how we are going to bear or pay the tax, our tax, based on that the credit is going to be given. So if you compare with your tax rate structure, it will be anyhow much more cheaper than any other methods of buying a equipment. If even you are buying an equipment, it will cost you much, and tax is not at all less, it will also cost you much. Then both of them, other than both of them, this lease is something very beneficial to you, so to us. And faster and cheaper credit is the same thing, that lease, that he can offer you that amount, that product at that amount which is favorable to you at this particular time. Then flexibility. Lease is a contract agreement for some period of time. You can fix that agreement. If you say that lease can be for 90 years also, and it can also be for 2 years or 1 year short agreements. So it depends upon the products or the value of equipment you choose. Like we saw the different types of lease financing yesterday. If you are talking about a financial lease, it is like high value equipments for which it is not cancelable. That contract is not cancelable, and it should be paid. If you are not being ready to pay, it will be put on to the next date, you have to pay it, that's all. You can't quit the contract. And it talks about the economic value of asset. Whereas operating lease, it can be cancelable, like hiring a car. You can go, or you can simply say, no, I don't need you now. Okay, I'll see for some other choice. You can go now. So that is the option. So it depends upon the type of lease you are choosing. So here flexibility, I am saying in the sense, what is this flexibility that you have in collectively called lease financing is, if you are taking a building for 20 years for lease, okay, then in first 10 years you paid it at up to date, okay, you don't have any kind of postponements or anything, you paid it up to date and cleared everything. But after 10 years, what happened is, maybe your payments, cash flows are little bit slow. Then you can't simply say, no, I am not going to pay this year or this month, I'll pay you next. Okay, then you can't avoid that. So this month 20,000 or this year 2 lakhs, that cannot be avoided. Like, okay, I won't ask you about this year. No, he won't say like that. But this payment which you have to pay, this year's payment will be added to next year payment. So how you should say is, whenever you take a lease and you are you paid all the 10 years and you are entering into the 11th year, then you are unable to pay at that time, your cash flows are little bit slow, then you should approach him by saying that this year my cash flows are not going good, so this amount will be paid by me in the next coming year. So if my next coming year what the amount I have to pay is 2 lakhs and this year is also 2 lakhs, collectively 4 lakhs I will be paying you on the next coming year, but I am not going to pay now. That flexibility you have in this lease. Okay, that is what? That is the advantage of lease financing. And protection against obsolescence, like there are few equipments or few assets which get obsolete very fast. Yes or no? In this kind of case, it's better for anyone to opt for operating lease. Like I told you yesterday, that contract can be cancelable before the expiry period of an agreement, because few assets are of that kind, don't know at what time it gets obsolescence, like when it gets that expiry period will be done. So in that case, operating lease is much suitable for such kind of firms. Okay, so here in this case, operating lease is very much useful than any other. Then 100% financing. Whenever you buy a new product or a service, you will have some down payment kind of formalities and all. But if it is in the lease financing form, you don't have any such down payments, anything. You just have 100% financing. Okay, you will have 100%. You don't need to pay any down payments for that particular asset which you are taking as lease. Are you clear with all these 5 advantages? Allows alternative use of funds, like instead of investing huge amount, you can take it for lease. That is what business people do. And then faster and cheaper credit. Based on your tax structure, he will be giving you the loan or that lease, and that lease amount will be less compared to any other sources by which you are going to get that asset. And flexibility. As I told you, if you are not able to pay this year, then you can couple that amount to the next year and you can pay and clear that amount in next year. You have that flexibility when coming, it is about lease financing. And protection against obsolescence. Few assets get its expiry period done very soon. So in this case, operating lease is much more helpful than any other lease. Okay. Then 100% financing. As I told you, whenever you buy a new asset, you will have to make some down payments and etc. for that. But in this system, 100% financing, you don't need to pay any down payments, and however the contract says, if you follow in that way, that's enough. So these are the pros. Now coming to cons. Not a suitable mode. It is not suitable when coming to few businesses, like if it is kind of project kind of thing, for projects kind of businesses, it is not suitable. Like if it is a business, running business, every time it will be running the same way, it's fine. But there are few businesses like they take up projects. So in that projects kind of businesses, then this lease financing is not at all suitable. Then because this lease financing will have certain period of time for contract, and that projects might get over very fast, or it may also carry on for many years. We can't like estimate how much time it is going to take. If it is going according to plan, it might get finished very fast. Even if they have some problems, they have to quit anyhow 2-3 months or something like that, then they will have some time. But we cannot we can't estimate this time. So this kind of contracts is not that suitable for project type of businesses. And less benefits. So if you are taking some other things, then you will have subsidies, incentives and all. But this lease financing, that asset which you are taking for lease, will not have any kind of subsidies or benefits, incentives. You won't get such kind of stuff. And no capital gains during the lease period. When you are taking a land for lease, okay, obviously the land value will increase, because the lease person, the lessor who is going to give the land for you for lease, obviously he'll add up the amount and give it to you to the higher amount. So obviously that land value will increase. But if you are purchasing that land, then that will be beneficial to you, so that you can sell it to some others, because that land value is increasing. But you are taking it for lease, that means that land is not yours. Yes or no? At that time, even if the land value increases or decreases, is there any profit for you or loss for you? No, right? So, no capital gains during this lease period. You won't have any kind of change in your thing, like you took that lease, you took and you are giving it back. That's it. Even if the land value increases, he may sell it to someone else after that, or he may keep it for himself. It is the lessor's wish, not your wish. Okay, then high cost. This cost, like if we see in accounting systems, management accounting, cost accounting, etc., these systems are really helpful to the management in making decisions and all. But if you see, if it is expensive too. Yes or no? It costs money, things like we have to recruit new employees, new system, new procedures, many things are involved. So it is expensive, we say. In the same way, when we have two types of financings here, again debt financing comes into the picture. So debt financing and lease financing. Compared to lease financing, debt financing is less cost, but lease financing costs something much more than that, debt costing or debt financing. So it is costly. Then expensive also, I can say. Heavy fines. If you want to discontinue your business, then the only option you have is just to carry on the contract and pay the high fines, but you cannot quit or end the contract. That is what we studied yesterday, right? You can't cancel the contract, because business take lease only for the high equipments, and only for small things they approach for this kind of protection against obsolescence. In this case is that operating lease is fine, but usually businesses take lease for the high equipments like financial lease. That kind of lease will only be adopted or opted by the businesses. So in that case, it talks about the economic value life of an asset, then it is not cancelable. So in that case, if he has to discontinue his firm, then that contract will not be ended or quitted. He just have to bear the fines, and if he has any property on his own, he have to sell it and he has to clear that fines. That is the only way he has. That is a big disadvantage. So these are the pros and cons. Cons, again, let's repeat it once again. Not a suitable mode. As I said you, if it is in the project kind of businesses, they take up projects and do, then that is not suitable. This lease financing is not at all suitable for such kind of business, and less benefits. As I told you, incentives, subsidies, all these are not at all the words that is relating to lease. And no capital gains during this time. As I said you, when it is not your property, even if you are getting profits or losses, does it matter to you? No, right? So in the same way, it is the lessor's property. Even if the property's value rises or decreases, it is his cup of tea. It is not at all that lessee will not be involved in this. And then high cost. As I told you, it is much expensive than the debt financing system. And heavy fines. If he has to discontinue his business, also he has to bear that high fines, but he cannot end the contract. Is what the disadvantages of lease financing, and these are the advantages. Pros are allows alternative use of funds, faster and cheaper credit, flexibility, protection against obsolescence, and 100% financing. When coming to cons, not a suitable mode, less benefits, no capital gains during the lease period, high cost, heavy fines. So this comes to the end of the session. If you have any doubts, we will appreciate and we will clear your doubts. Don't forget to comment in the session, and if you like my video, like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.